Now we're gonna slide into China. I wanna start before I go any further. I want to point out that something that was made clear to me when I was watching Gordon Chang. He mentioned about. Do you remember Fang Fang, John?
Fang Fang? Fong Fang?
Fang Fang, Fang
Fing
Fang,
Fang. Yeah.
Swalwell's girlfriend. So you understand that when they were looking at Swalwell, when they started to send Fang Fang in to coerce and co-opt the Swalwell, this guy. When was it, John? When do you think they started to go after him to
I know
identify him as a mark? Let's
they
call him a
identified
mark.
about 4 years ago.
Nope. They identified him a mark while he was still, I think he was mayor of whatever city he was a mayor of. John, they went after this guy when he was just a mayor of a city. They saw in him that he was going to grow. But John, I got to ask you, if they're going, do you think that Fang Fang is the only Chinese operative in this country that's trying to co-opt our elected leaders?
I'm not supposed to pretend stupid now at this point or be stupid.
The answer is there's definitely a lot more, probably thousands more. Because John, if you think about it, this nobody, Swalwell was a nobody. He's still a nobody, but other than a well-known, in the only way he's known for is for being an idiot. But we know that Swalwell was a nobody when he was first tagged, and so when we see that, we can also recognize that there's probably a whole bunch of these Chinese operatives out there working directly for China to gather and to co opt these Democrats and Republicans who early on in their careers so that they can bring them into the fold and get them to vote the way that Winnie the Pooh, the Chinese dictator, wants them to. So, I mean, John, this is a clear and present danger to our country that we have. And John, I want to be clear also the FBI, where's the FBI on this? We know that the Chinese communists are leading a large contingent of operatives within our country that aren't the Fang Fangs, but they're also working for groups like Liberation Road. They're also working for these communist groups. We have about a good 1,000 or so communist organizers in our country as of today, and we know this because back in 2010, maybe it was 2010, I think it was, there was a whole cross the country raid against these communists by the FBI that they were taken and they were arrested. And John, you know what happened to all these arrests, to all
No.
these, when I say evidence was taken out by the truckload, I'm not understating it. They were all let go, John. None of the cases went to trial. You know why?
No,
You
I
know
don't.
who was president in 2010? Obama, and you had his Justice Department that was not willing to prosecute. So it's clear you have this, and to be also clear, and we've talked about this in other shows. The Democrats have a very strong leaning towards the commies, whether they're Chinese commies or whether they're Russian commies. But to be clear, they are mostly now Chinese communists. The ChiComs are the ones who are driving the I want to say a good portion, about 30% of the Democratic Party towards, and they're not coming out as their allies. What they do is they go into these campaigns to help Obama. That's where a number of the commies were helping out with Obama. They were linked to the campaign. So if they went to trial, it would come out that they were linked to the campaign. If they're linked to the campaign of the president Obama, then John, that's a completely unacceptable thing. So they had to drop those cases. So I get this information and I'm looking at it and I wonder what is the real goal here of the Bidens and what is their real goal. And I'm looking at this because we think that the Bidens are just accepting money from the Chinese and bought and paid for, that they're the Manchurian candidate, right? That they're the ones who are working within the system. But John, I got to tell you something. I think we're looking at this the wrong way. I think that the Bidens are really part of this establishment that would welcome a war with China. They would welcome a war with China. I don't say it, I say it in a manner to be clear that I don't welcome it, but they want a war with China because that will drum up support. It'll put more Democrats in office. It'll drive more people to be patriotic Americans and support the administration because right now, John, they're not supporting the administration. We
It's the
see that there's
FDR. It's the FDR.
FDR model of World War II,
Like,
but this isn't a conspiracy theory. I don't want you to look at it as a conspiracy
whoa,
theory.
because I just spent like 15 minutes going Russia, Russia, Russia. So we have to have that debate. China.
Well, I mean, I think it's because Mao's cooler, John. Mao's
Oh
cooler than Lenin. He's more cooler
no.
than Lenin. That's what it comes down to. That I'm not saying that there isn't Russian commies that we have to contend with. I'm just saying that the money is really coming from the ChiComs. So I want to get that out there because most recently, John, and here I'll share this on our screen and get rid of the overlay. But there we go. Pentagon chief unable to talk to Chinese military leaders despite repeated attempts. Now, this is something that Secretary Austin here is unable to have a conversation. It's not a good thing for our country. This is something you can expect the Chinese to start doing, to being intransigent in their attempts to work with us on things. We've already seen that with what happened in Alaska. This is more of the same, more of the same garbage that they're trying to do. We also know that the Secretary Austin is much more interested in wokeism in the military, dealing with the supposed white supremacists, and more interested in dealing with that and getting rid of all the patriotic Americans in there who stand up for America and that they want to try to malign and say are white supremacists. He's out to get them, and he's not out to deal with making sure our military can fight a war. Because, John, one of the things that is going on out there right now, and I want you to look at these two articles, and I want you to tell me your point of view from when you look at these headlines on these articles. First, this one. Same ship, same incident. Got it? China says U.S. warship illegally enters its territory in South China Sea. Same U.S. destroyer re-enters Parcel waters, shows support to freedom of navigation. Same incident, John. What do you think of that?
I don't know. What am I supposed to think about that?
I'm just asking your opinion. What I take away from that, I'll tell you what I take away is you got something like the Epic Times here, which they want to try to malign as a right-wing website or a pro-Trump website. Here they are putting America out there, they're supporting the freedom of navigation, whereas for the ones that are bought and paid for by the Chinese, Reuters, China says U.S. warship illegally enters its territory in South China Sea. When if you read the article, you'll clearly see, John, it says that this is a disputed area. The Parcel Islands are nowhere near the Chinese coast, yet the Chinese seem to want to claim it. There's the Parcel Islands right there. Now, Vietnam and Taiwan and China claim these islands, and I'm sure that they're, but I want to make it clear that this is something that's still out for debate. Yet, Reuters is taking the path that China's right and everyone else is wrong. I'm not surprised. You shouldn't be surprised. This is what we should expect from these people. They're nothing more than water carriers for the Chinese ChiComs, and we shouldn't expect anything other than that. I want to look at one last thing before I pass the baton back to you, brother. We have the Philippines are at the forefront of this battle. The Philippine Navy is pushing against the Chinese, who are trying to take over the South China Sea and make it their little lake. The reason why the Philippines feel so emboldened by this is because they actually have won a court case outlining the fact that they have the rights to the islands that are in dispute. That not the Parcel Islands, but the islands discussed in here, and that they have had over almost 300 incursions into their territory since Biden moved into the White House. So I look at this and I say, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on with China to think that they can do it? And where is the Biden administration? What are they trying to do? Because they're saying that they're supporting, and there's some things that they're doing to try to make us to try to stand up to China. I get that. They are trying to do that. But they also do stupid things like turn over our electrical grid to possible Chinese intervention. And a lot of people go, "What's the big deal? It's just we're just getting Chinese products sold to us from China that are going into our electrical grid. What's the problem? It's going to be our grid. We're going to have control of it." But John, what they don't know is India, not too long ago, really ticked off the Chinese. I don't know if you remember this, but there was this little fight on the border. They've been going back and forth at it, and the Chinese have been very, very upset with India. Do you know what happened at the same time? Seems that the financial center of India lost electricity magically because it was hacked, and it was hacked by they don't know who, John. But can you guess
Uh-oh.
who? Can you guess who put in the
Of course.
electronics to this?
The Russians, James. It's all the Russians,
And
just
it's
like
not
in
the Russians. It was
America.
the ChiComs. It was the ChiComs, John. The ChiComs.
I
The
can't get it.
ChiComs are the ones who put in the electronics. I get what you're trying to say,
You're gonna use
but
me as a stooge. You got to tell me beforehand. What am I supposed to say?
you can say the Russians all you want, but it's the Chinese electronics, John. That's what's going on here. We're losing this battle to keep control of our country because we're allowing the insidious method of them coming into it and taking over sections of it. If we lose power because of the Chinese, it is directly related, or if we lose power at all, I should say, it's directly related to Biden. There's no way to say it's not, because his actions are the one that's allowing us to buy Chinese products, bolstering their economy while taking away from our companies in our country.